Disney fam, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Today I am talking about Disney College Program applications, and this is the video that I've wanted to sit down and film ever since I decided to vlog my program, because I binged watched these for months before I even applied, and I think they're super interesting to get tips and to hear about other people's experiences and about how they applied and what they would do if they reapplied in the future. So today I have my apple cider and I'm just going to chat with you guys and talk about my entire application process and my tips, as well as my roommates' tips and things that they told me that they would recommend to future applicants. So if you're watching this, you're probably applying for fall 2019 or a future season, so congratulations if you've decided to apply. Good luck. I think you'll do absolutely fine. It's not as scary as it looks. It's time consuming for most, like myself, but it is not scary in the slightest, and you will do absolutely fine. You will end up exactly where you need to be, whether it's being accepted or not, being in Walt Disney World or Disneyland. You will be exactly where you're supposed to be, so don't stress out about it. So without further ado, let's talk about my app process. So I applied on the second day of applications technically. The first day of apps was on August 20th. For spring applicants, they usually drop in August, and fall apps drop in January. So I applied August 21st, they dropped on August 20th. I wasn't home all day on August 20th, so I didn't know the applications even dropped until I got home and just felt like checking to see if they were available, and they were. So I applied and I got stuck in submission for almost 2 months, which kind of sucked. I got really self-conscious and insecure, and I'm like, oh my god, what did I do wrong with my application? And I finally heard back on October 11th, got my WBI, passed it with flying colors, at least I hope so, and I had my phone interview on the next day, which was a Friday, on October 12th with Stephanie, and she was amazing and incredible and super sweet. And I got accepted on November 5th. So that's basically my whole application run. It was pretty much for the whole app season, unfortunately, but everything happens for a reason, and I'm very grateful to even have gotten accepted. So in terms of applying for the Disney College Program, I have a ton of tips, and I just want to give a huge shout out to my hopeful future roommates, Daphne and Sam and Marissa, for sending in some tips and stuff for applying. You guys are amazing. I thank you guys so much. And Taylor, I didn't forget about you, girl. Thank you guys so much for sending in some tips for everyone watching. I'm going to cover tips for applying for WBI and phone interview, as well as just some useful hints for the program as a whole. Now, as a whole, Marissa said that you should definitely join the Facebook group and the group me, which is like a group chat that they talk about on the Facebook pages, as soon as you think you're gonna apply. They have a Facebook page already open for fall applicants, so get on there, chat with people, get to know people, make some friendships and some bonds, because even if you don't get accepted, you'll still make some friends in the process. So it doesn't mean nothing comes out of it if you don't get accepted. So definitely join the Facebook group. I didn't join it until I was actually applied, which I kind of regret doing because I feel like it would have been like really cool to make some friends earlier. I'm very happy with the friends that I've made and the hopeful roommates that I'm going to have, but I would have definitely, if I redid it, I would join the Facebook group sooner. The only thing with the Facebook group is that you could get kind of jealous because I was stuck in submission for 2 months and it was kind of hard watching people go through acceptance waves and stuff, and I was sitting there with nothing. So that's the only drawback, but overall I think it's very beneficial. In terms of the actual application, I'm going to run you through the basics of it. It's like any other job application. You put in some personal information, your school, your graduation period, your major, all that kind of stuff, and then they ask you for job experience. Now this is something that I have a lot of info on. So basically take your time and make sure everything in your application is perfect and ready for the Disney recruiters before you send it in. That's crucial. I don't think you can make changes, but I could be wrong. And when it comes to job experience, definitely put volunteer experience too. A lot of people overlook volunteer experience, and that is something that you shouldn't do. It's experience, and you've learned something from it in some way or another. And going along with that, on any job or volunteer experience that you put down, put as many skills that you gain from that job as you can. Daphne said that make sure that you really think about your skills, put some time into it, and don't put just 2 or 3 skills and then never put those skills down again. If you learned how to work with children, babysitting, and by going on a mission trip and working at your church nursery, put working with children or creating magic for children in each of those volunteer or job positions, because it'll show consistency and it'll show that you really know what you're doing. So that's key. And a lot of people don't realize that learning about leadership and learning about working with others are skills too. So really invest some time in thinking about your skills and job experience. So I would do that before apps even dropped, and just sit down one day, think about every job and every volunteer opportunity that you've done, even in high school, and just think about as many skills as you've gained from those jobs. That's key. Now, there's always been a lot of controversy in videos that I've watched about keywords. So basically what I've learned is that in the application, people assume that there's keywords that recruiters look for, and there's some kind of computer program that looks for keywords to accept people faster. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know too much about that, but it doesn't hurt to put guest instead of customer and creating magic in there. I don't think it hurts anything. So if you can change out keywords like that, it doesn't hurt. Something that is super crucial that Marissa brought up in our group chat, I didn't even think about it, but don't put high interest in roles that you don't want to do. So after the job section, you have the roles section where they'll list every role for Walt Disney World and every role for Disneyland. If you're applying for both or one or the other, they'll list all the roles that are applicable for CP, and they'll ask you for high interest, moderate interest, low interest, no interest. Basically like that. So you just go through and you click down which roles you're interested in. Really look into the roles and see what you want out of your program. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to put no interest in roles that you have no interest in them, as long as not every role has no interest. I think you should be okay, because what if you have no interest in a role and then you put high interest just to look good on your application and get that role? You're stuck with it. You can't change it. So definitely be aware of what you put your interest in. So the last tip I really have for applying per se is to do the application right before you go to sleep. I did that. I did my application at 1 in the morning because that was when I found out the applications had dropped. And I had everything kind of pretty much set up. It was super easy. It took me maybe 15-20 minutes to even apply. But I would definitely recommend applying before you go to bed, so that you're not applying in the morning and then checking your email every 15 minutes for the rest of the day waiting for a WBI. It doesn't hurt anything, and it might release a little bit of that stress of waiting for your WBI. Now, talking about the WBI, which is the web-based interview, it's one of the acronyms that we talk about as college program students. It is essentially a questionnaire that they send you if you get passed through the application process out of submission, that you answer questions about to see your work ethic, your skills, and that kind of stuff. So a lot of people stress out about the WBI. It's basically a test, but it's nothing really to stress over, I think. Essentially, the only difficult part about it is that some questions are repeated and are worded differently to see if they trip you up and to see if your answers are consistent. So essentially, let's take an example here. Are you almost never late to work? Are you ever late to work? Are you never late? So those 3 questions are very similar, but you have to make sure that each answer to those questions line up so you stay consistent and it doesn't look like you're just BSing it. So take your time through the WBI. I've heard people even take them alongside a parent or a friend so that they can say, what does this question mean if you don't get it? It is timed, but take your time. You have plenty of it. And I've even heard of cases that if you miss a couple of questions and you run out of time, it's not the end of the world and you still get accepted. Just try to put your best foot forward and answer the questions as specifically as you can. Now, when you're answering the questions, there's a scale that says always, almost always, neutral, and then a couple others. So it's basically a scale like how you apply for your roles, but a lot of people are like, you have to stay on always or never. Always or never. You have to stay on the end of the spectrum and be bold with your answers, but I don't think it's necessarily the case. I think you should be sure of your answers. You shouldn't always put neutral because that doesn't look good, but I think it's really important to, if you are neutral about something, to be honest, not to just be like, well, I don't know, maybe, almost, always. I think you should be really honest. If you do 2 or 3 neutrals, I don't think it's gonna kill you. Just try to be as bold as you can with your answers, and I think you should do fine. So when it came to the phone interview, I had mine less than 24 hours after I actually took my WBI, which was stressful because I felt like I had no time to prepare. So when it comes to preparing for the phone interview, there's a lot of different avenues that you can take. I took a few of them. First of all, I watched phone interviews on YouTube. A lot of people have uploaded their either acceptance or NLIC, which is no longer in consideration, phone interviews to see where they went wrong, where they went right. And I watched probably 100 of them, and not even kidding. I watched so many of those interviews, and I think that's a good avenue to kind of prepare yourself for the kind of questions that they'll ask. No interview is the same, no recruiter is the same when it comes to interviewing, so you're not guaranteed to have a specific kind of question in every interview, but it is a good route just to see like what the format of the interview is. So I would recommend watching a few of them. Just type in DCP phone interview on YouTube and it'll give you some examples. But another avenue you would do is actually looking up questions. They have plenty of blogs that you can look up potential DCP phone interview questions. They're everywhere. There are pages that literally have 500 questions. Don't waste your time on looking through 500 questions and trying to be as prepared as you can be. It's a phone interview. Your recruiter is a human just like you, and don't get too nervous about it. Don't stress yourself out. It's 20 minutes, give or take a few minutes, but it's really not that bad. So essentially when you sign up for your phone interview, it'll give you a time or a few times that you can pick from. So you pick your time and then say, be ready between an hour window of your actual interview. So my interview was at 4:30 and they suggested to be ready at your phone from 4:15 to 5:15 just to give yourself an hour window just in case the recruiter's running late or they're running a little bit early. Now when it comes to actually sitting down, getting ready for your phone interview, it's about to happen. Here are the things that I did. I first pulled out my camera and filmed it, which I really want to upload it, but I'm not sure. I'm still deciding on that. I filmed it, I had my phone fully charged, and I had a cheat sheet. So essentially, I got a piece of printer paper, and I had a spot where I could put the recruiter's name so I could address them by name. I think that's really important. If you can do that, definitely do it. And just all my roles that I had written out with the actual rank that I gave them, as well as 3 or 4 potential questions that I could ask the interviewer at the end of the interview, because they typically will ask you if you have any questions. And I think that if you have some prepared to ask them, it really shows how dedicated you are to the actual program. So interviews probably take around 20 minutes, if that. They're super easy, and my interviewer Stephanie was incredible. I'm so thankful for her, so thank you, Stephanie, for accepting me. But don't stress yourself out too much. It's 20 minutes and it'll go by so fast. So I hope these tips and hints helped you out with applying. I tried to bring together everything I could think of for the application process, as well as get some insight from my roommates. So if you have any other questions before applying, definitely leave a comment down below, or you can DM me on Instagram at Disney with E. I am always on there if you need app help, if you want me to look at your specific application just to make sure everything looks good to go. I'm more than willing to do so. Just DM me on Instagram and I will definitely help you out. So I hope you guys found that helpful, and thanks for watching. I will check you guys tomorrow. I'm trying to think what video is tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow is Anne's birthday vlog. So my stepmom Anne and I and our family went down to San Diego for her birthday, so that'll be tomorrow's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this and are enjoying the 12 Days of Christmas videos. I have had a lot of fun filming and editing them, and I hope you guys are liking them. So I will see you guys tomorrow with another video.